Well, it gives me a great pleasure to welcome back to the show Andy and Jess from Solstice. How are you both?
Fantastic. Thank you, man. Great to see you.
It is good to see. I've not seen the two of you since the stables in September. I think that was the last time I saw you.
Mm.
Most
Yeah,
magical show.
it's. I've got to say. I mean, it's fair to say that 2023 has been a really, really good year for the band, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's been amazing actually. Yeah. I was just thinking back across what we've done and it started with Fusion Festival, with
Yeah,
Steve Gould's amazing Fusion Festival, which was great. And then we went over to Holland and did our first, gig there at the Border Eye, which, has been an ambition of mine for years. Because, I see all the great bands playing there and think, oh man, one day, and we got to do that, which didn't run quite smoothly, but as we'd hoped. But anyway, it was fabulous. And then we did a little mini tour with oh, I'm going to say it wrong now, so I'm not going to say it. What are they called, Jess?
Oh, the Italian band.
Yeah.
I can't
Can you
remember.
say it? La Machera de Teixeira. There, that's my best shot.
La Machera dis. Yeah,
Kind of something like that.
yeah.
And and that was great. Yeah, and then we played
This
London.
year.
Eh?
Was this year.
That was this year, man. That was this year. So much has happened, right?
Ex-
And then yeah,
Yeah.
we did a few of those, then we did some festivals, and then I suppose a career highlight without a doubt was Cropredy.
yeah.
Mm.
I mean,
Because you've played Cropredy before, but how long ago was it?
25 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so we did that with Clive Bunker joined the band in the 90s when we had a little spell there, and we did Circles, and he played on that, and we did some touring associated with it. And because Clive was in the band, it was instant access to the whole world of Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
Um, and so we got to play the conventions, and Dave Reese, who runs the New Day Festival, was running conventions back then. We did those. That was great, and we got on. And because again through Clive, he's very close with the Cropredy guys, with Peggy, and all that lot.
Yeah.
So we got that festival, and it was extraordinary. But we're a much better band now. I mean, Clive was in the band. So no disrespect to Clive, who was amazing, but we are a much better band now. So to play it this time, and Peggy gave us like a late afternoon slot on the just before the finale, before the Fairport finale. I mean, it was just extraordinary. To play to that crowd, and they were so receptive, wouldn't you say, Jess? I mean, it was.
In fact, there's still messages coming from or people who've gone to gigs closer to our time now, and they've said, "Oh, I saw you at Cropredy, and I've gone to another show because of it." And I think that was what we wanted all along, is that we are playing at a festival where people will dig our sound. They might not
Yeah.
have necessarily heard of us, but considering what we play and our current like tunes and our and the whole band in general and our vibe.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, the way you guys are now and Cropredy, it just seems to sort of like go
mm,
hand in hand. It really does.
mm,
Yeah, it was extraordinary to get access to, as Jess says, to so many people that hadn't heard us. And in fact, we knew we were onto something when we started getting bad press from people. I've never had it before, but
really.
yeah. Some of the comments were quite extraordinary.
I know, women wailing. I was like,
Yeah.
we're doing something right, because that means they're listening, aren't they?
I'm staggered by that. I really am, because let's face it. I mean, there are bands out there who make a horrible noise. There's shrill stuff going on all there. you guys are not one of those bands. You know, you've got some amazing songs. It's a proper show, you know. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I said to a friend of mine, I said it was you're like a prog equivalent of Santana. You don't know where to watch because there's so much going on at all different parts of the stage. I think it's brilliant. I just can't understand how anybody wouldn't see you guys and go, I have to go and buy their albums. I have to go to more shows.
My favorite, I think the best one was Solstice. Bloody awful. Are they a cult? Are they a cult? But we got we had an hour's signing slot afterwards, and the queue. You know, you say about people buying CDs. The queue was extraordinary. You know, just people queuing up with their CDs that they just bought to come and get signed and meet us, and it was wonderful. What an incredible experience, you know.
And did you manage to draw some of those into the cult?
We did. We signed them up. We had our pamphlets, you know.
Fabulous.
To be fair, those didn't help. It was like we were selling, oh God knows what. I can't remember what the pamphlet was about. Just like what
Well,
we
it
were
was
going to do that year.
yeah, it was a bit of a kind of spoof thing, you know, spoof
Yeah.
newsletter, but it was called The Morning Light, you know, so it was like a little newspaper. And yeah, it kind of had information about what we were doing. It had some backstory
Yeah.
to the members of the band, but it looked, when you looked at it, it did look a bit like, you know, what's the Jehovah's Witnesses pamphlet called?
Oh, is that the Watchtower? Is it?
Watchtower, yeah, that's right. It kind of looked. It had a slight bit of that look about it, you know. So I think that's where the cult thing came from. But yeah,
I think basically, I think the only problem you had on it, I was on the back. You had a picture of sort of David Koresh with like your first album, and you thought, oh no, it's all gone wrong. It's all gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, it was great.
But I mean, you followed that up with the Stables. What a night that was! I mean, sellout crowd, amazing performance. I know it's been high on your list for a while, hasn't it? I mean, that must have been just everything you dreamed of, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was just. I mean, again, the Stables is another venue that I'd always wanted to get a chance to play. And I mean, I've done. I do workshops there. Actually, I've been involved for years. You know, just they have a educational program, and I've been involved in that for a long time. And we did play there once years ago, supporting Fish. But we've just never been had a high enough profile to play there.
Yeah.
But I figured, yeah, you know, we're kind of getting there now. So I contacted them and they said, yeah, great, you know. So that was good. And then we had no idea, obviously, how well it would go. But what I didn't really think about is that actually the Stables really suits our audience demographic. You know, it's like such a nice festival, such a nice venue. It's comfortable. It's got a great sound. There's not a bad seat in the house. But we were blown away, man, when the tickets started rolling out and selling it out. Yeah, absolute dream come true, man. And the gig was phenomenal. I mean, it was really quite emotional for me, actually. Yeah.
It actually felt that in the crowd. It actually felt quite an emotional evening. It really did, because you could see. I mean, we were sitting. I think we were second or third row, and you could actually see that how much it meant to everybody in the band. And I think when people in the audience see that and can see how much it really is, you know, affecting you, then it affects the crowd as well, and everybody bounces off each other.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
It's intimate as well. I think it's the
Yeah.
perfect size for you. Like you said, like you don't know where to look because there's so many things going on. You almost get a 360 view as like a listener. You get a
Yeah.
360 view of the band, and you just get like almost you can catch things quicker. But also for us, the fact that in Sacred Run, yeah, and like Andy was just off, and I was like, "What's going on?" And he was in the crowd, and I was like, "What's going on?" And it is, it's one of those things that there were loads of friends and family there, but also there were so many people who, throughout the years, who have supported or knew people from Cropredy had turned up and got a ticket, and it the reason why I think it's so emotional is the fact that we were there for one reason. For
Yeah,
like us as a band, it's the joy of playing. But for everyone in the crowd, it was like we got to have that moment together
yeah,
in such a special venue. Yeah,
yeah,
that's and the fact that we're playing there again
yeah.
next year, like confirmed, tickets are out already, tickets are selling again. It's like we've got to do that. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, how are we gonna make it even more special?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. I mean, I'm going to take you guys all the way back to the start of 2023 because the
Uh,
album Light Up came out.
is it?
You must have been pleased with the reaction to that record when it came out, because obviously a lot of people had been hearing bits from it on the build up to the release, but when the release came in sort of January 2023, the reaction was fantastic. Has the response to the album gone above and beyond your expectations?
Well, yes, yes is the short answer. But I mean, it's what's lovely is that people are still talking about it.
Yeah,
and they're still enjoying it, and we're still getting great feedback, and gradually you can see new people discovering it. And then they get in touch. I mean, the great thing about the musician audience thing is through social media, it's very direct, so you kind of, people let you know as they discover it. And so it's lovely to see that it has some, I mean, I know a year isn't a very long time, but it feels like it has some longevity already, that it's still appealing to people when they discover it. So it's really exciting. I mean, I do think that it's a step forward from Shia was extraordinary. That was the moment where we kind of discovered each other in this new lineup and discovered this new energy. And then, a couple of years on, gigging together, Jess fronting the band, and finding her place, and just becoming even more part of it. And I think that really comes across in Light Up. So it's it's a strong. I think it's a stronger album, and I hope that the next one will be stronger still. It feels like we're just continuing to roll forward, and that's incredibly gratifying. It's so inspiring. It really is.
I mean, after Shia performed really well, does that give you the confidence when you're putting out the next album? Or because obviously people had picked up on Shia, people were talking about it, in real favourable terms. So when you came to put Light Up out, that must have. Do you get, do you have that little bit of confidence? Not a cockiness, but do you have a little bit more confidence going into that album?
Well, I don't know. For me, I felt quite terrified actually. Writing. It's happened again after Light Up. It's like, can we produce something else that's worthy as a follow up?
Yeah.
But what happens is then we start writing stuff and working on stuff, and I think, actually, we can.
I think especially for me as someone who hears that, obviously Andy's the one creating them, but I get to then start adding it once Andy sent me ideas and things. But tracks like Bulbul, I think that's my not, I like you say, not of cockiness, but just like, how are we? Oh, we are. It's like we're in safe hands. Because like all of the tracks are good. Like I've actually returned back to that album, and I'm non-stop listening to Home at the moment, like with everything going on in Palestine. Like that at the moment is really sending like a whole other message, and I'm just getting all emo in my room listening to that. But like tracks like Bulbul, I think just have such a spectacular like moment. And like the fact that you were like, oh, and you released this album this year in 2023, like that does not seem like that happened 11 months ago. To think that we were in the studio and I was constantly going backwards and forwards, the fact that we're going to be doing that again, 2024, is just like, what is the next track going to be? Like, what direction are we going to take? I've already heard some new instruments that have been introduced that haven't been a part of Sheer or in Light Up. So I'm just thinking, okay, like where's our next part of our journey? You know?
I mean,
Yeah.
I've got to say with the album, because the album came out so early in the year, sometimes, and this is the problem, sometimes an album, if it comes out right at the start of the year, because there's so much music and then everybody sort of digests so much music, some albums can get forgotten about by the end of the year, you know, when people like myself put out like, and, you know, for a bit of fun, our end of year lists and stuff. But the one thing I've noticed all throughout the year is Light Up is constantly talked about, and it's constantly mentioned all the way through the year. Now, I can't remember another album that came out in so early in a year that has had that sort of like, you know, sort of grip on people throughout the whole of the 12 months. I think it's an exceptional album, but then again, you know my opinion on the album.
Yeah.
Clearly, we love it. We honestly are so grateful.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you single-handedly kept it alive, Garry, actually. It's incredible how many times you've played tracks from it, and you even played a live track, didn't you, last week?
And I'm playing a live track on the Thursday show as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's so funny because you know, the one track that live at that Stables gig, because we're talking about, you played a track from live at the Stables, which is our kind of, it's become a tradition. Well, it is, you know, this is the third time we've done it. You know, at the end of the year, we kind of give away a live album in thanks to the support from everyone throughout the year. So it was a track from that. Anyway, that gig, the one track that went pear-shaped was Wongle Number 9. And that's the track you played last week. That made me laugh, man.
And I had so many people mentioning and just saying, "Oh my God," because who'd never seen you live and just went, "Wow, that song sounds just fantastic live."
Great.
Yeah.
Because we were like, it was all going fine, you know. We tried to play that track a few times, and so we're yet to nail it. But actually, you playing it and me hearing it, I'm thinking, damn, man, that is a good track. You know, we've got to persevere with it. But you know, we got through about half of it and it was going fine. And then it just went really pear-shaped at one point. But you know, it's very much mistakes or problems are super amplified for the musicians, you know, that are experiencing it at the time. And what I find repeatedly is that for the audience, they don't have that experience, you know, as long as it's vibey, you know, and you know, if it's like gone a bit wrong, the audience are very forgiving, or possibly don't even really notice, you know.
No, I think because everybody's caught in the moment. And that's the whole thing about live music, that, you know, I mean, I said I was at the Porcupine Tree thing last night, and Stephen Wilson says a couple of times, he says that they hit duff notes. He says, but he says, because you look out, he says, and we're the, oh God, he said, but the crowd didn't care. And that's the whole thing. People have come to see a show, and you don't want it replicated note for note perfectly off an album. You come to watch those songs that you love done in a live arena, and you know, so you do want some things a little bit different. Yeah,
but from the musician's perspective, it's kind of excruciating, you know, when you make a mistake, and it just seems so massive. But it isn't really, you know, it isn't really. I know that, but it's hard to get past it, you know.
But that's just the perfectionist of being a musician. That's the thing, isn't it? You want everything to be 100%. Where for people in the audience, sometimes 95% to them is 100% because they're watching it from their perspective.
Yeah, but there's such a great feeling, particularly in this band. It's such a great feeling playing in this band. It's just extraordinary, and you get into this really, really sweet spot, you know, sort of kind of spiritually, and then when it goes off the tracks, off the rails, you know, it's like, boom, that's gone, man. But the thing is, it comes back. You get over it. I think for me, it would, when I was a lot younger, something like that, I wouldn't recover from it. The rest of it would be a fail for me. But I've realised that that's madness, and you have to just dive back into it and start feeling it again. And it is. I can't tell you how good it is, man, playing in this band, with Jess and the girls and the band that have been there all along. It's extraordinary and such a blessing and so precious for me at this point, in my life. That's why I end up welling up at some of these gigs, man, because it's just, mind you, me and you, Jess, we were in Norway, right? And we were watching, we played at this festival in Norway with Mia, who are an extraordinary band.
Wonderful band.
We sat there, we were like, oh, do you mean Ebony when she?
I mean, it went on all day, right? Because Ebony Buckle played in the afternoon, and me and Jess and Steve and a couple of others sitting there, and we were like laughing at each other, crying, because it was just her music so moving, and then we went and watched Mia, and it was like the same. They were just incredible. But so it's music is a powerful thing,
I've got to say, because we go back to the Light Up album. From day one, I've always been Mount Ephraim is my favourite track on the album. It's not any longer.
Oh, really?
It's not any longer. It's been replaced. It's been replaced. Wongle number 9. Wongle number 9 has overtaken it very, very slightly. It's like when you watch the horse racing and they do it by a nose. Wongle number 9 has just edged forward. But
do you know something that I really love about the responses to Light Up, particularly more so than Sheer, is that people have different favourites, and maybe they change and evolve. But it's like every track on there, someone has said that's my favourite track. So that feels incredible, man.
Yeah, it's a great album, and to be honest, I mean, it's no secret, because a few of these conversations have been going out recently between myself and some prog fans and DJs, and people have been saying, "What's your favourite album of the year?" And I was like, "Oh, come on, does anybody really need to ask me that?" My favourite album of the year is Light Up by a long, long way. There's nothing I've actually heard this year which has come close.
Wow, that's amazing, man, because there's a lot of thank you. I mean, it means an awful lot. It really does, because there's a lot of good music coming out.
There's a huge amount, yeah.
And I know you're on the radar. Yeah, all the new music is on the radar for you, isn't it? So it's really means a great deal. Thank you, man.
I mean, you've got a lot of gigs lined up for 2024. I mean, you're going back to the Netherlands. You got Winter's End. You got MK. I've got it wrong. Is it MK2 or MK11?
11.
MK11. I always get that wrong, and I always will. I will always get that wrong. No, you're going to Southampton. You got the 100 Club. You got the New Day, Towersey, Neen Valley Festivals, and the Stables. Have you actually, I mean, obviously this is probably for you, Andy. Have you ever had such a stretch of gigs and festivals booked up so far in advance for such a long time?
Well, we've actually got gigs booked for 2025.
Wow.
So wow. That's the way some festivals roll, they're booking up that far ahead. But no, it's what's starting to happen is that doors are opening for us, which is great, and there's still a lot of festivals that I would love us to play, and that I can't get in through the door, but gradually people are hearing about us, and it's becoming a little bit easier. So I'm really pleased. Yeah, I think we've got about 10 really nice shows lined up for next year, which is great. And we're now actually working with a guy called Glenn Povey, who some of your listeners will know because he wrote the Bible on Pink Floyd, which is called Echoes, and he's written several books on them. But he's also an agent in books for Gong and Osric Tentacles and various other people. So he's a good guy to be working with. So I'm hoping that will also produce some new stuff. So he can kind of, there are festivals that will accept his communication where they won't accept mine.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that will help us, get a little step further as well again. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, man. You have to work. Anyone will tell you that's the kind of the band driver, that, or not just in music, but in anything. You have to have someone that's just going to sit there all day and work on it. And I'm privileged enough to have some time to do that, and I love doing it. But you just have to work on it, keep working on it, and gradually, if you've got something that you really believe in and that people are digging, which we have got that now, then if you keep working away at it, you make progress. And that's a thrill for me. It really is, just seeing us making progress and seeing that work rewarded and people recognizing what we're trying to do.
I actually think you're underselling it a little bit there, because you said if you've got something that you believe in and people are digging, the people I speak to about your band, people are believing in it. They're not just digging it, they're believing in it. They're sold on the idea because they see how good a live band you are. They can hear what you're playing on record. People are believing in this. People are actually sort of really absorbing it, and they want to be part of that journey.
Yeah, I mean, that is incredible. And that is, I credit the audience and the sort of community. The prog community is extraordinary, incredible.
It can be a strange place at times. Believe me, it can be a little bit like a cult, where we're all handing out flyers. Believe me.
Yeah, but it is that support that helps drive what we're doing, It really is. I'm really very conscious of that. People like yourself, when you get people with some influence and profile, which you have and others do, getting into it, and as you say, believing in it, then that drives the train, man. So it's an incredible ride right now. We're loving it.
Certainly. What about new music? I take it new music is being worked on now. What's the plan going forward into 2024 for new music?
Demos.
Well, you're coming up next weekend, so I mean,
this weekend.
Yeah.
By the time this is out, we'll have done our first studio session for the next album.
So everybody listening to this interview, that was last weekend, and they've had a wonderful time, and everybody's pleased about it.
Well, we've been playing so Mount Ephraim, which was your favourite track for a while, but has now been cast aside.
It has, yeah.
We were playing that live before we started recording the album, and we've been doing the same this year. Actually, we've been playing a track which the title is still a matter of debate, but and then we're working on a new track this weekend, which I'm hoping we will play going forward when we do some live gigs. And then I've literally just sent Jess another track actually, which I'm kind of.
I actually was listening to it as I was setting up.
Okay, it's like it just makes me happy, that particular track. So anyway, so we are, we're probably, I don't know, side one of the vinyl into it. But Jess was talking about Bulbul, and there is something, I don't know where this stuff comes from. It's a mystery to me, but there is something really special about that track, and that's what I'm sort of worrying about at the moment. Is another big track like that gonna come? Because you can't contrive these things, you can't plan them, and you can't that's just nothing genuine is going to come that way. It's fine if you're writing, say you're scoring a film or something, you have a brief, that's fine. Or you're writing a pop song, you know the formula, right? But the kind of thing that we're doing, it just has to come. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it just has to come out of the ether somehow.
It's got to feel right, hasn't it? You get the feel for things, don't you, as well?
Yeah, and it's got to. it's just got to arrive. And so at the moment, I'm like, well, you know, it'd be nice if another track like Bulbul arrives, but we'll have to wait and see. So who knows what's coming? That's the beauty of it, I suppose. But it's also a bit terrifying.
Well, I've got to admit, I mean, you've got, you know, this whole thing of, you know, like Sheer has basically pushed the band back into the spotlight. Light Up has taken the band and sort of like pushed you even further. And the fact is that there's people on board. There's an audience there, and there's an audience who want to come and see your shows, and they want to come and meet you afterwards, and they want to buy your records. And that's great, because it's, and we've spoken before, and you said that it's not, you've not been in a position like this for quite some time. And now you are a band that people regularly talk about, and that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think I've never been in a position like this. It's unique. I mean, I know that we, you know, back in the early 80s, we achieved a lot, you know, pretty much by chance. Again, you know, this kind of community evolved around us, and we were lucky to work with some great people. But you know, this, yeah, I was very young then, and you don't appreciate things in the same way, of course, you know, when you're 18 or 19, whatever it was. And we were just rolling with it. And to be honest, I can't remember it. You know, I think we were all pretty indulgent. Certainly I was, you know. And so I'm very happy to say that there's a fantastic book being written about that period, which you may know about, Garry, I don't know. But it's... Kingmaker Publishing are producing a book right now.
Nick Shilton and Greg.
Greg, yeah, that's right. And written by Andrew Wilde, who's done an extraordinary amount of work. I think 76 interviews he's done with it's around the as they call it, the big six bands that made the Marquee their home in the early 80s. You know, so obviously Marillion, IQ, Pendragon, Palace, Us. How many is that? I've missed someone. Anyway, it's about that whole scene.
Actually, you're saying about Andrew Wilde. Funny story. A mate of mine knows Andrew Wilde. Well, he knows him a little bit, and he messaged him and said to him, he says, "You need to speak to Garry." And he goes, "Yeah, okay, no problem." We were coming out of the big train gig in Birmingham, and he sat next to me on the tram. And we just start chatting. I have no idea who he is. He has no idea who I am. And we start chatting, and then we suddenly realise that we have friends in common. And so we got a tram journey back together from Birmingham, me and Andrew Wilde, and that was our first meeting.
Brilliant. Well, great. I bet you got on great. He's a great guy. But yeah, so that's great. So I'm going to be able to find out what happened back there by reading Andrew's book, you know, because which should be handy. But this is very different. For me, this is like a new band. You know, I know it's an old band, but it feels like it is a new band. It's got a completely new life with Jess and with the other guys. You know, it's for me, it's fresh and it's new, and it kind of hasn't really got that much to do with what happened way back then. I mean, it has, of course it has, but so my focus is entirely on this, and it just feels extraordinary. I feel very, very lucky and blessed.
I'll go as far to say I think the band are unique. I don't think there's anything else like that out, like you guys out there. Really.
Well, maybe that's something that does feed back to those early days, because it was kind of that then. Actually, I think that's partly why we got a look in, because at that point we were really the only band with a female singer. We were the only band with a fiddle player in it. You know, certainly in that, you know, particular group of bands. So I think that kind of got us some added interest. I mean, now of course it's much more usual to have a female singer. Maybe not the fiddle though, I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm glad you say that, and hope, I think, you know, music should be unique and original, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, you know, great.
Well, Jess, Andy, it's always a pleasure catching up with you. I'll definitely see you at a gig or two next year, and of course you'll be back on the show at some point as well, because you've just become regulars over the last 3 years, and it'd be rude not to have you back on the show every few months.
Yeah, I got to say, man, thank you so much. You know, we appreciate it, but thank you so much for championing what we're doing. You know, it's really made a difference, and I know it's introduced people to what we're, as with all the other musicians that you play. You know, I mean, it puts it out there for people, and we are all really grateful, man. So thank you, and
well, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. Really
have
do.
an amazing Christmas.
Yes,
Yeah.
got Jess, Andy, thanks so much for your time again. Have a great festive season, and I tell you what, let's do this all again in 2024.
Yeah, let's find out what happens.
Exactly. Guys, thanks so much for your time. Take care.
Bye.